Hello, my name is Joe, or should I say today, mi chiamo Joe e bentornati al mio canale. And that is all the Italian I'm going to say. I'm going to not butcher the language for you guys. But today I wanted to do my final June on the Range 2024 video. And this one is going to be special. It is my Italian edition of June on the Range 2024. You'll understand the Italian connection here in a minute, but it shouldn't be a big surprise. Italy, they have spaghetti westerns. I'm personally a big fan of Sergio Leone, and I'd actually like to, now that I'm kind of on this western kick, I'd like to go on a western movie kick, and I'd like to explore kind of both American westerns, and maybe some spaghetti westerns beyond the big Sergio Leone movies, and maybe a few of the Sergio Corbucci movies. But anyway, so this summer I've been reading westerns with June on the Range, started by Michael K. Vaughan. I started out with a Louis L'Amour novel, Hondo, which was excellent. I liked it very much. Then I moved on to a Zane Grey novel, Last of the Duanes, which was okay. It was good. And then I finished up my novels with T.V. Olson's Eye of the Wolf, which I also thought was excellent and I enjoyed very much. I didn't have time to read a fourth novel, unfortunately, but I did have on June, I guess 30th was the last day of June, I did have time to read one more thing for June on the Range, one more Western. It wasn't a novel, but I read a comic book. This is a comic book series called Tex. And if you are unfamiliar with this series, if you're living in the U.S., it's not a surprise. This is an Italian kind of spaghetti comic book, un fumetto. Anyway, so if you go to any newsstand in Italy, you are probably going to see this comic book, Tex. It seems, from what I can tell, it seems to be fairly popular. But it is about, the main character is Tex Willer. He is a Texas Ranger, and he is often accompanied by his sidekick named Kit Carson, who is loosely based on the real-life Kit Carson. They are both Texas Rangers. I don't think the real-life Kit Carson was a Texas Ranger, so loosely based. But yeah, so I read this just on the last day of June. I wanted to read something else, and I'd been wanting to make a video on the Tex Italian comic book for the whole June on the Range. In fact, I have, just to kind of show them off here. I've been to Italy a couple times. I like speaking the language. I like trying to speak Italian. I know a little bit of it. So for language learning practices, comic books are a great resource. I have a few more here. This is another issue of Tex. This is a copy of, I guess, another series called Tex Willer. I imagine it's similar to, how there's Batman and then Detective Comics. They're just two different Batman comic books. Action Comics versus Superman. But yeah, this one's called Tex Willer. Looks to be a younger version of the character, maybe. And then I also have this larger, these are older stories, I guess, from I'm not sure when these are from. Everything else I just showed you was modern, just a couple years old. Anyway, this looks much older. The character was originally created in 1948, and as you can see, this is from 2022 or 2023, and so it is continued up to modern day. One thing I wanted to say about this, by the way, this issue is called I Sabotatori, the Saboteurs. It's number 614 of Text. And one thing that and again, I'm not a big comic book fan, but one thing that I appreciate about this, if you look at the size of it, the price here is €4.40, €4 and 40 cents, 4.4 euros. But you'll notice this is over 100 pages. So now it's not fully colored. All of these are in black and white. Pretty good artwork. Again, I'm not a fan of comic books, so my point is with the prices. Last time I checked, I believe single issue comics, I think they might be $3.99 now. If they're not $3.99, they're $2.99. But there's not a lot to them. I tried getting into comic books a few years ago. My plan was, all right, I like collecting things. Maybe I'll collect comic books. I'll collect Superman, Action Comics, or maybe Batman and Detective Comics. And I would get them. I'd read them in a few minutes. And then I go, wow, that was like $3-4. And I'm done. I'm done with it. So I don't feel like they're worth the money. Maybe, afterwards when they collect them in the, after a run, they'll put them in a single book. And it's probably more cost effective to buy them that way. But I really appreciate how, this was less than €5, but you get over 100 pages. And also, since it is in Italian, it takes me a while to get through. I read Italian very, very slowly. And to be honest, I'm sometimes I'll read a page and there's very little comprehension. Sometimes I pretty much comprehend everything. But it is a lot of fun to go through. So I kind of like reading this more than an American comic book where I just blitz through it. Even an American comic book this size, or like say a graphic novel, I finish it so quickly, and I don't take the time probably to appreciate the artwork like I should be. So I end up feeling, well, that was a lot of money for not a lot of entertainment. So this, I think I like reading Italian comics better. I just get a little more enjoyment out of them. And I did enjoy this, and I think I will. I haven't read any of these that I've shown you. I will probably maybe tackle this at some point and just spend my time kind of, going through it. So even this is, where's the price? Oh, even this is €16. So I feel like the same product in the United States is going to be at least maybe $24. So I feel like another thing I noticed just the couple times I've been to Italy is I also have purchased a few other just novels and books. I feel like just books in general are cheaper over there. I don't know if that's the same in the rest of the EU, but in Italy I would find just very cheap books. This book, just to tell you what it's about, I did like American comics, even though it is 100 and something pages, you do get somewhat of a complete story, but there's clearly, a larger story that's going on. So I'm missing everything that was preceding it. And then it does end on, if not really a cliffhanger, it ends with they're still hunting the main bad guy. And it ends on kind of on next issue on Tex. This is what's going to happen. But this story it's kind of an interesting story. It's about two competing railroad companies that have they're kind of at war with each other. Some murders have been committed. And what's interesting about it is Tex and Kit Carson, they kind of team up with one company, and they kind of have one ally that works for one company. He seems like a very nice, decent guy. As the story goes on, his bosses might not be so nice. And as the story continues, we follow, the nice ally. They make it to this canyon. There's a really kind of interesting scene where they talk about how, they use dynamite to kind of open up the canyon, and they're going to lay track down. And then, the title of the book gets its name. Someone starts pushing rocks down to kind of try to sabotage the work. They go up, they chase the people at the top, and it finds out that the bad guys actually are kind of decent people themselves, and what they're doing kind of makes sense. So they're kind of working in this big gray area. So I thought that was very interesting. I think most of my enjoyment, though, is just being able to kind of spend some time with Italian, with the language that I really enjoy speaking, and I haven't really had the opportunity to speak it recently, or I haven't read anything in Italian. So I think most of my enjoyment was probably more from just the language aspect of this book. By the way, I looked it up, there's not much of Tex in English. I think Dark Horse, I believe, purchased produced a few books within the past 10 years of Tex, but I don't think it's very popular. When I briefly was into going to comic book shops, I've never noticed it. But you do see this all over Italy, so I think it seems to be fairly popular. So that's kind of really all I have to say about that. It's pretty cool. If you're in Italy and you want to learn Italian, just pick up some Western comic books. Another comic book that you can pick up, just while we're on the subject, I have this is my only kind of copy I pulled off the shelf, but I have a few of these. Another popular comic book is called Dylan Dog. Dylan Dog is the main character here, and these are horror comics. He's kind of a, they're detective stories with kind of a horror element. There's always a supernatural horror element, but there's some kind of mystery he has to solve. I've read a couple of these. Again, not really into comics, but I like the language aspect of them. So that's pretty cool. That's all I really have for now. So that's it for June on the Range 2024. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm probably gonna sprinkle in some westerns. I think I have a few that I've purchased. A couple more Zane Greys, a few more Louis L'Amours. I think at some point throughout the end of this year and next year before the summer, I probably will read some more westerns. I had a lot of fun with them, and it's a genre that I've never read before. So it's really cool that this event introduced me to something new, and that's why I'm here on BookTube, is to be just introduced to new things. But I think that's all for now. I will say my next video, I actually probably will make it later today. I did go see the new Kevin Costner Western called Horizon Chapter 1, an American Saga. And I have a few things to say about it. I do want, every once in a while, I want this channel to live on BookTube, but every once in a while I'll throw a movie video out there. I have some things to say about it. And it's that movie has fascinated me. That's all I'll say for now. But that's it for June on the Range 2024. Grazie mille. Alla prossima. Ciao.